Can I get an amen? That's what a new ad campaign is asking you. We all know about rebranding, right? Try and find a new way, come at you with commercials, pitches, but rebranding Jesus? That's exactly what a new $100 million campaign called He Gets Us is trying to do. And guess who he got? Me. I saw it watching a football game this weekend, and I was really impressed by the kind of subtle suggestion that was in there. Very interesting. I wanted to talk to the guy or one of the people who's behind it. And we have the creator here, Jason Vanderground. It's good to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris.
So I'm watching the football game, and it was a little bit of like a role play scenario of people getting kind of nasty with each other. Tell people what the idea is behind the ad and the campaign.
Yeah, we have a number of ads that are out right now, and the whole idea is just increasing the respect and the relevancy of Jesus. And so, we look back at his life and everything that he went through, and then we look at what the American people are going through right now. We find all these parallels. So, one of the ads, I don't know if you saw this one, but it's called Family Matters. And so it starts, the kids are young and everybody's together as a family and it's happy and it's around Christmas. But then as things go on, you start to have these, like the argument over Thanksgiving dinner and then people leaving angry. And then sometimes people not coming back. And I think over the last few years, all of us have gone through this in our families where there's, we end up on different sides of different issues. And so how do we treat each other afterwards when we realize these differences about each other? And a lot of people are looking to the example of Jesus today and say, boy, there's somebody who had differences with people, but somehow was able to treat everybody he came in contact with that love and respect. And people really appreciate that today.
What I thought was interesting about the campaign is that you are not getting hit over the head with the word or the truth, or the gospel, or even imagery of Jesus or overt religiosity. It's more of like you are trying to capture a virtue in a troubled situation, and that is a reflection of the message. Is that the intent, to kind of come at this but not beat people over the head?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of that to go around. People have that already. So we said, let's try a little different approach. And what was interesting is we talked to the American people. There's a value system that they appreciate. And what they want for themselves and the values that they see in Jesus actually line up really well. So they see in him somebody who sought peace, like was able to make inner peace and then peace with others around him, who was welcoming, loving, and then accepting to all. Those are like 4 of the top 6 values that Americans have, and they see those in Jesus. And so there's a lot of respect for the way that he handled the personal situations that he was in, realizing we can use some of those values right now in our own lives. So it's just starting with commonality, starting with respect, starting with finding relevance, and then letting people figure out where they want to go on their spiritual journey from there.
Are you okay if people get with the virtues, but not with the belief? Is it okay if people say, yeah, I want to be like that, I like the reminder, but I don't believe in a higher power?
As I talk to people about this, everybody is on their own unique spiritual journey. And for many of us, this is a lifetime of learning. It's a quest to be on. And so, and these are adults, so people are determining their own lives, what they want their own spirituality to be. So we're going to keep offering up stories from the life of Jesus. We don't shy away that they are stories about Jesus. There are other stories out there that people find relevant too, but He Gets Us going to be focused on the life of Jesus. And so we're just really patient with people who are very skeptical about what Christianity stands for now. And I think it takes some time. I look at my own kids and you see people for what their potential is, but you're not going to force them to get there overnight. And that's the kind of approach that we think is long overdue.
Jason Vanderground, very interesting. You got my attention. I'll be watching, and I look forward to speaking again. God bless and take care.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.